Hi everybody. You can hear the cows mooing across the road here. It's a slightly rainy day here in northeast Pennsylvania. It is still July, but I wanted to give you the heads up. If you're living in zones 5 or 6, certainly zone 4B and 7A, you can push the seed packet, as it were, a little bit. I apologize, I don't know where I got this site from, this information from what site. It was a long time ago. I'm thinking it was Johnny's Select Seeds, so I'm going to put a link in there for them. But if this information, if it looks familiar to you, if it's from your website, please let me know and I'll be sure to link it. I'll start at the end of July, and this goes actually until the 3rd week of September. So you've got all of August and September until the ground freezes. The last week of July, July 28th, you can still plant arugula, beets, bok choy, carrots, Chinese cabbage, lettuce, something called mizuna, which I had to look up, and it's also known as spider mustard, so it's leafy green, kale, kohlrabi, Swiss chard, and tatsoi, which is an Asian green. And most of what these have in common, with the exception of carrots, is that they're greens, leafy greens. Beets and Swiss chard are related, so even though beets are not a leafy green, you not only eat the beet, you can eat the greens that come up on top. Carrots you can plant. As long as you get them to come up, you can keep them, especially sheltered, in the ground all winter long. Some people say, oh, you keep them in the ground all winter, eat them in the spring. They get really fibrous when they come back in the spring, or when you let them sit that long, they get very rooty and they're not flavorful. They're good for getting seeds from, which I talked about in another video, trying to make a carrot bed that's actually perennial, in the sense that every year it will produce carrots. Carrots themselves are biennial. They only produce a carrot one year and flowers the next. But if they can keep reseeding themselves, they'll be carrots forever. I also put that link below. The list goes on. There's not a whole lot of changes until you get to about August 28th. So they add in matcha, which is also known as corn salad, or sometimes corn matcha. Matcha is incredible. I've seen it get hit by frost, it lays down. I've seen the same thing happen to lettuce. And as soon as temperatures warm up just a little, or the sun comes up, they start coming right back up. It's pretty impressive to me. You would think something delicate, like a leafy green, would be more susceptible to frost than other vegetables, but it's actually the other way around. Without going into botany, I'm guessing it has something to do with the cell structure of the leaves. But anyways, September 7th, they add back in radishes. So now you're looking at arugula, kamatsuna, lettuce, matcha, mizuna, mustard greens, radishes, and spinach. Kamasuna, if I'm saying that right, is also known as Japanese mustard spinach, so again, another leafy green. You lose a little bit the middle of September. They start taking off the mizuna and the mustard green, but they leave in the radishes and spinach. So you're looking at arugula, kamasuna, lettuce, matcha, radishes, and spinaches. And this is, I found this very interesting. I've never done it, but I'm going to do it this year. It says, quote, continue planting seeds of cold hardy versions such as lettuce, matcha, and spinach to give plants a head season in the spring. They will overwinter and reward your foresight with delicious early spring salads. Plant cold hardy brassicas such as bok choy or kamatsuna for harvest as baby greens, but don't try too hard to overwinter these late plantings. They will both bolt before growing much at all in the spring, which I imagine is also the reason why they're not planting radishes after the 1st week of September. So again, that would be pretty cool, I think, to plant stuff the 3rd week of September. Make a map, write it down, make sure you make notes of where you put it, because in the spring it could easily look like weeds coming up. So, and then to have some salad greens, something fresh earlier in the spring than you would normally get. Here in the spring, early spring, we plant potatoes and we plant peas, but there's not a whole lot that can grow that early. like say March in the spring, we're still getting a lot of snow and cold weather here. But again, there's still a lot going on into August and into the third week of September here in we're barely zone 6, 6A. And happy garden on.